Hello again. I'm going to share with you a little scripture. It's taken from Psalms 25, verses 4 to 5. Okay. It says, "Make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. For you are the God of my salvation. For you I wait all the day long." Does that describe your life? It should, if you're a Christian. Um, Anyway, I just feel like the Lord wants me to share a little bit of testimony today. I have a lot I could share, but that would take up too much time. Maybe in segments or something. Anyway, back in middle of 2004, when I was 54 years old, I'm 72 now, and my husband and I were training to be church planters, and we were scheduled to go to a conference for church planters for our church denomination. And he hurt his back and he couldn't go, so I went representing our little congregation that we had. And as soon as I got there, the Lord started talking to me. I mean, through every message, everything. And I took lots of notes, which I saved. And but and let me back up just a little bit. Prior to going to this conference, I had gotten a hold of my grandmother's journals. I never knew my grandmother because she died when I was only 2 years old, so I don't really have any memory of her. And I only knew what family members said about her, and they didn't all like her. And they didn't really understand her. Anyway, I got a hold of her journals, and I started reading them, and I began to cry immediately. I connected. she talked the same way I talk. She had the same favorite verses that I have. Just the way she said things, and her love for the Lord, and her commitment to the Lord, her desire to serve the Lord. I just super connected. But she kept quoting something, and she didn't give a context for it, so I didn't know what it was. So one day I just looked it up, and it was a passage in Habakkuk 2, and this is the passage. It says, "Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end, it will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come, it will not delay." Now, I read it in a different version before, so it said it a little differently. But anyway, so back to the conference. I was at the conference, and this was one of the passages that was being taught on. And one of the things that was said was, give your ministry over to God. It's not yours. He may have something else for you to do that you would have never thought of in your wildest imagination. And that really jumped out at me. Like I really felt like maybe the Lord was saying he didn't want me to be a church planter, that he had something else for me. And make a long story short, that's the way it turned out, without going into all the details. He definitely led me away from church planting, that wasn't what he wanted. And once I made that decision, then he just started opening up his word to me, just like tremendously, in ways that I had never before experienced in my life. And he just started showing me all kinds of things that I'd never understood before, and helped me to see a lot of areas where I had been deceived and believed people that I shouldn't have believed. And but anyway, he had me going through the Bible Genesis to Revelation. And it was really good for me because I had always had Bible stories taught, you know, out of context. And so reading, the Old Testament books, especially the early books, helped me to really get context of um, the biblical history and connecting all the dots, that I didn't have connected before. And then after a while, he had me just going from Psalms to Revelation, and he was having me teach. By mid 2006, I was sharing what I was getting out, which is what this Habakkuk passage was about. This was my calling to share what he was teaching me, through his word each day, and just what I was getting out of it, and to put it on the internet. That was the herald or the runner. Basically my mission was to write out what he teaches me, put it on my computer, post it on the internet, and then the internet runs with it and takes it to people, all over the world. And so I've been doing that since the middle of 2016, and pretty much daily, and not just once a day. But by going through from the Psalms all the way through Revelation and back to the Psalms through Revelation, and this went on for 12 years where I was teaching all of that. What that really helped me was to get context, because I had been taught things out of context, and I had been taught some things wrongly because they were taught to me out of context. And the more that I read, it was like, wow, that's not what I was taught, and I'm like, wow, this is what it says. It doesn't say what somebody told me it said. And so that was really, really helpful for me, especially as I'm sharing the scriptures, to be able to share them in the appropriate context. And so as we go back to, make me to know your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me. The way we're going to be taught is we have to read the scriptures in context. If we just accept them out of context, we're in danger of learning things the wrong way. So that's really the message today is read the scriptures in context, especially do Matthew through Revelation. Read it word for word, phrase by phrase, and then as you get to particular subjects, then compare, scriptures, because some things seem to say one thing and others might say something else, and they have to agree, so you can't just take one scripture and build your doctrine out of it, which is what a lot of people do, and you can't do that because then you might have one verse that says that, and then you have 50 or 100 verses that say the opposite. And so just be careful that you are reading and interpreting scriptures in context, and especially if you're sharing them with other people, that you're sharing them in context. And so that's what I had to share with you today.